I was at my parents' house and I was riding one of their mopeds. I turned a corner really fast and there was a squirrel sitting in the middle of the road. So in order for me to avoid hitting the squirrel, I made this huge right turn and I crashed into a tree. And I hit in such a way that I had to have the tendons on my right hand surgically reattached to the bone. So the day of the surgery comes, and I have never had a surgery before. So as they started to give me the anesthesia through my veins, I could feel it going through my body, up through my arms, into my shoulders, down through my neck, and then my chest, and then to my heart. In the very second that it hit my heart stopped. So the very second that I shut my eyes and died, I opened up my eyes and I was standing in the most beautiful, perfect marble building that I could ever imagine. And as far down as you could see, you couldn't see an end to this corridor. On the left-hand side were these beautiful, ornate doorways or tunnels that looked like they had been cut out of the marble. To the very right of those doorways, about 4 feet, there were these tables, and they each had 4 benches around the table so people could sit at each end of the table. During this whole process, there was somebody who was standing next to me, who was talking to me in my left ear. I never saw this person, but throughout my whole near-death experience, it was a guy who was standing next to me telling me what I was seeing and what I was looking at. He told me this was an orientation center. And I didn't think at the time anything about that I was having surgery or that I had an allergic reaction and that I had died. That didn't even occur to me. I was totally simply engrossed in what I was seeing. And so I just listened. There were 2 people sitting at each one of these tables, as far down as you could see. My guide told me to walk over and look inside the first tunnel. Inside the tunnel, I could see stars, and I could see planets, and I could see galaxies. It was absolutely a magical experience. That is a tunnel that people come through when they die. My guide then said, look up to your left and look at the next doorway. So I looked up to the next doorway, and there was a man that was coming through, and he had his right arm on his left chest. And my guide said he had died from having a heart attack. He looked very dazed. He looked very confused about what was going on. So the woman that was right in front of his doorway stood up. She walked over and she took his hands in hers. And she walked over and she sat him down across from her at this table. And I could see that she was talking to him, but I was too far away to see what she was actually saying. His appearance began to change. He was an 80-year-old man when he came through the doorway, but as he was talking to this counselor, he became younger and younger until he was probably in his late 20s or early 30s. Her job as an orientator was to help people remember that they have just finished a lifetime and that they're home now. And whether you want to call it heaven or you want to call it the other side, that's our true home. When she was done talking to him, he stood up. He walked over to the right of the table and he walked down 3 marble steps to a garden. And I know people have described the gardens on the other side that they're absolutely beautiful, but they are so hard to describe how beautiful they really are. The gardens were almost like they were alive. What was happening to this man is as he walked down those 3 steps and he walked into the garden, there were people there, a lot of people, and they were there to greet him from coming back from his life. They were hugging him, kissing him, welcoming him home, saying, what a great job you did great, now you're back home again. And sometimes people don't need the orientation because they are much closer to the other side than others, especially kids. When kids cross over, they don't need to have an orientation because they just came from there. The orientation is for people who may have lived a long, long life and had forgotten where they really came from. And so that's where those counselors really come into play. And it was fantastic. I wish I could describe to you what it looked like. But as I looked down this corridor, there were people coming through the corridors, through these tunnels. It was very busy. People were crossing over all the time. And these counselors would get up and help them and bring them back to these tables and help get them orientated. So the building he took me to next was another Greco-Roman building with white columns, beautiful white Grecian Roman columns out front. And they were formed in a circle with a dome on top. Then we walked in. My guide said, this is where we plan our lifetimes. All of our lives go through a planning process, and we plan them with our main guides before we come into life, so that life it's not just a random accident. There's purpose, there's reason. When I first walked in, there was a table, and he was standing by it, and there were 2 scrolls on the table. One had a blue ribbon on it, and the other one had a red ribbon on it. And I didn't know what these were at first. My guide said, these are your scrolls that you write the major points of your lifetime on. Everybody writes down where they're going to live, what their parents are going to be like. Are they going to go to school? Are they going to go to college? What's their career going to be? Are they going to have a lot of money? Are they going to have a little bit of money? All of that is prepared ahead of time on these scrolls. Picked up the blue scroll, and I opened up the scroll on the table. And when I tried to read it, all of a sudden the scroll folded back up again. And my guide said, I'm not allowed to read that until I finish this lifetime. But he was trying to show me that our lives aren't an accident. Everything is actually planned out for a reason. He said we forget it because if we knew what we were supposed to do, we wouldn't be testing ourselves. He took me to a meadow, beautiful flowing mountains or hills. And all of a sudden, I saw animals come jumping down that hill. And he said, every one of these animals that you've ever loved, or that anybody has ever loved, is on the other side. As I was standing there, I could see 2 of my dogs, and I could see 2 of my cats running down the hill. And all the animals play together until their loved ones from Earth cross over to the other side and come back and get them. It was such a feeling of unbelievable love that they're all there waiting for you, and that they play with each other, and that they're happy. And then the last thing that happened is my guide took me to this field. As I was standing there, another gentleman walked up. He was about 2 feet from me, and he was so bright that I couldn't see his face. All I could see was that he was wearing a white robe with a red sash around the waist. He lifted up his hands and he said, you must tell them there is no death. The very second he said that, I woke up back in the hospital with these doctors all looking down at me. He said, he's back, he's back. I was physically dead for 6 minutes. Yeah, and that's the crazy thing I don't understand is it felt like what he took me on was a 2-hour journey of the other side. How could he possibly have showed me all of those things in 6 minutes? It's so much a piece of my life now that I share it with almost anybody who wants to hear about it, because that's what he told me.
If you'd like to hear a bit more about what he saw in heaven, there's a full unedited interview here where he talks about a library that he went to, a place where he got to review his past lives. Go ahead and click right here. If you are new to the channel, you can go ahead and subscribe by clicking on my face right there. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again next time.
I didn't see any family members, but I did see pets. And it was such an extraordinary thing. I didn't have time to go play with them. But I saw 2 of my cats that I had growing up, and they both died from cancer. And when I was there seeing them, they were happy, they were young again, and full of life. And that's something that God gave all of us. He created these beautiful animals that are our companions for eternity. So when you get back, not only do you have your loved ones, but you also have all your animals with you too.
When my dad was dying, the week before, he said he could see the first dog that he'd had as a little boy, wagging his tail, all excited, out of the corner of his eye. When he told his sister about it and described the dog in perfect detail, she was shocked as she barely remembered the dog herself. I'm in a park. Green grass was everywhere. It was very pretty and very clean. I see a black cat running up to me. It's my amigo, my black cat who passed away 6 months earlier. He runs toward me and leaps into my arms. He feels exactly the same. He was always a solid cat from his years on the streets. I hold him tightly. I am so happy to see him. Joy fills me. I cry a little bit. I hold him, hugging him, kissing him. I am so happy to see him. He is so happy to see me. This happiness is as if I've never felt before. I could feel his love and adoration. I heard dogs barking, and I could understand what they were saying. They were playing and planning to go somewhere to continue their game. I turned the corner, and there was a group of dogs. I became very joyful when I saw that 2 of my deceased dogs were part of the group. I called out the name of one of my dogs, wanting to hold and pet him. The other dogs took off racing toward the light. My dog turned, looked right at me, and barked. And again, I could understand him. In a very scolding tone, he said, "You're not supposed to be here." He took off and joined the other dogs, and soon they were all engulfed in the light. Upon experiencing the tremendous light, which to our normal eyes would seem almost blinding, I first saw our dog, Mr. Miyagi, who passed 6 months earlier. He had died of old age, but upon that meeting he was like a lion in his prime and sitting in a meadow. He radiated love for me and for our time that had been spent together on this earth. We didn't communicate through words. It is just a knowing. I looked up and my grandmother was there. She had died long ago, but it was her. She was wearing a purple dress, and I suddenly remembered seeing her in her coffin as a kid wearing that dress. There was a Boston Terrier dog standing beside her. We had always had Boston Terriers as pets when I was a kid, but I didn't recognize this particular dog. As a side note, I went through a big box of old family photos and I found the dog with my grandmother. Her name was Trixie, and she was our old house pet when I was born in 1956. I don't remember her though, as she was put to sleep around 1958. It was definitely, absolutely Trixie with my grandma. I saw something fidget off to the side and I looked and my dog had died in 2000. Her name was Scooter. She was a black and white border collie. She was there, I saw her, and I thought, I didn't know they were part of the afterlife. It was so good to see her. She couldn't come to me, but I knew that she was there. The place I was in was a hill in Marysville where my grandmother used to pick sunflowers. The grass was so lush and so green. The air was so perfect, moving yet still. Colors had intensity I've never known. I could see and know all these things with my entire being. A dog's tail weaved through the tall grass. A beautiful fuzzy puppy wagged her tail at me. At first, I didn't recognize her. I had never seen our dog as a puppy. I was so happy to see her. We had to put her down 2 weeks prior to my daughter's birth. She had injured her hip. We had given her all the surgery we could to keep her, but it didn't make her quality of life better. It had become much worse. We had put her down on my due date. Our hearts were so heavy with the loss of the dog that had generously shared her life with us for 12 years. I left my body during this experience, and I found myself with my dog Tramp, who had just passed away a month before. I wouldn't be here now if it hadn't been for Tramp. That dog is the closest thing to me in the whole world. Tramp had saved my life before, and here he was doing it again, even after he was dead. You will have to call me for the rest, as I cry too hard when I think about it. Just believe me when I say that it was my dog Tramp who saved my life, not the paramedics that came to the house. Horses and dogs were playing together, and when they stopped, they seemed to stare a hole through me, and then went back to playing. I was told they were checking to see if I was the person they were waiting for, that they had loved while on Earth. I found myself in front of some giant golden gates of some kind. It reminded me of an altar in a Catholic church. There was some kind of fog or something that obscured any sense of distance, but my pet dog Skippy was there. Skippy had died some years earlier and was the only person that I had any real family connection with that was dead. I was overwhelmed with joy and love and embraced my dog with my spirit. Although I don't remember Skippy saying anything to me, we were so happy to be together again. There were figures of people rushing out of it toward me, but I couldn't tell who they were due to the extreme brightness of the light coming from that object. I then became distracted by figures to the right, which were all my former pets. Dogs and cats that had died, climbing over each other to get to me. They gave me the impression of me just getting home from a long trip, as they seemed very excited to see me. Around the stream were animals drinking water. I remember a deer and a squirrel on the other side of the stream and a rabbit on my side. I sat down by the rabbit and gently put it on my lap, petting it. I was not concerned about where I was and didn't feel the need to question it. I was enjoying the beauty that surrounded me and the animals that came to me without fear of me or each other. I was completely at peace with an inner joy that I could feel inside my soul. The scene was endless, like the valley and mountains went on forever.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm your host, Dale Rattan. Before we begin, I just want to take a second to say thank you. Thank you to all you wonderful people who have subscribed to this near-death experience channel. I truly believe we've got the best subscribers in all of YouTube, so thank you. And now, let's get into the next near-death experience. For many years, I have lived with a heart rhythm issue, experiencing its unpredictable twists and turns. I thought that it wouldn't heal because I was 60 years old at the time. My health was also very weak because, in addition to the heart disease, I also had chronic pneumonia. I was so desperate and just seemed to wait until one day I would die that I didn't anticipate what was about to happen. My battle, however, took an unforeseen turn on that fatal night in June of 2019, throwing me into the depths of a serious heart attack. Every breath became a fight as the pain raced through my chest and my body trembled violently. It seemed like a massive weight was pressing down on me, crushing the life out of my frail form. In that desperate moment, I managed to clutch the phone in the bookcase and, with quivering hands, my fingers dialed 911 in a frenzied race against time. The distant scream of sirens pierced through the night moments later, heralding the arrival of the paramedics who would become my lifeline. My wife returned from work at the same time, her face marked with complete astonishment, worry, and terror. She didn't stop crying and panicked, yelling, "Husband, what's wrong with you? Oh no, please help my husband." The paramedics quickly placed me on the ambulance stretcher, their features a mix of haste and resolve, their skilled hands working in unison to stabilize my precarious state. I clutched to the small thread of life as the ambulance roared, speeding through the city streets, each passing moment a delicate dance between existence and the unknown. The paramedics worked diligently, their voices providing constant reassurance to me in the midst of this turmoil that overwhelmed me. They placed an oxygen mask over my face to make it easier for me to breathe. Time seemed to warp inside the ambulance as the world outside blurred in a jumble of colors and sounds. My wife prayed quietly, her voice a beacon of hope in the middle of our anxiety. Finally, we arrived at the emergency room doors as the ambulance screeched to a halt. My consciousness dwindled with each passing instant, and with the lines between life and death blurring, I knew I was about to die. Suddenly, my eyes widened, and everything went dark, and the last thing that came to my mind was, "Thank God it's over." Instead, though, of being terrified, hurt, or having difficulty breathing, I felt calm and at rest. Surprisingly, I found myself standing in front of a large and intriguing tunnel. At first, the tunnel was covered with mysterious black, but when I moved deeper, its walls seemed to pulsate with an alien vitality, emanating a delicate iridescent glow that encircled and intrigued my interest. As I moved deeper into the tunnel, the lines between time and space seemed to blur, and I felt disconnected from the earthly sphere. As I passed through the tunnel, I had a powerful sense of healing and purification. It seemed as though spiritual energy was flowing through me, purifying my spirit of any remaining anguish, fear, or attachment. The tunnel was transformed into a conduit of transcendent beauty, a portal to realms beyond human comprehension. As I reached the end of the tunnel, a brilliant light greeted me, which made me feel overwhelmed. It radiated warmth and love and an indescribable sense of peace. The light beckoned me forward, drawing me closer to its radiant embrace. I emerged from the tunnel and stepped into the light, and I felt a profound sense of oneness with the divine source of this light. It was a merging of energies, a reconnection with the eternal essence that resides within all of us. In that moment, I became aware of the limitless power and potential of the soul, and I was not sure, but there was a strong belief that it was seemingly the spark of God that resides in us. In this transcendent state, I felt a presence beyond comprehension, a divine connection that surpassed all languages and actions. It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing the interconnectedness of all things in the vast expanse of the universe. In this profound connection, it was as if the knowledge of the cosmos had been bestowed upon me, and I was immersed in it without any verbal conversation. The teachings of the God unfolded that each action, each thought resonated through the cosmic symphony, influencing the lives of others in various ways. I saw the intricate connectivity of all beings in the vast cosmic tapestry. I was able to receive a great understanding of love and compassion and complete oneness. Suddenly, no longer did I perceive myself as an isolated entity, but rather as a vital thread woven into the fabric of existence. I realized that even the tiniest acts of kindness and compassion might echo throughout the world, touching souls and sparking transformation. Simultaneously, I recognized the inherent worth and divinity of every human being. No longer bound by judgments or prejudices, I embraced the diversity of life, and I understood that the suffering of one was the suffering of all, and that true compassion extended beyond the boundaries of self. Love became the guiding force in my interactions with the world. It was a force that uplifted and healed, bridging the perceived gaps between individuals and fostering unity. With each act of love, we contribute to the collective elevation of consciousness, nurturing the seeds of peace and harmony within each person and within ourselves. As I immersed myself in the profound teachings, God led me to a vast and serene meadow, adorned with vibrant green grass. In the distance, a scene of mesmerizing beauty beckoned me. appearing ethereal amidst the gentle haze and radiating a brilliant light composed of millions upon millions of shimmering particles. It was there that I noticed additional beings gracefully dancing, emanating a sense of tranquility and beauty. Amidst a soft veil of white mist, a familiar after-image emerged, resembling a small puppy. Surprisingly, it came nearer and nearer to me, and to my astonishment, I suddenly recognized it as my beloved pet, the small puppy who had departed from my life 2 years prior after a severe illness. It had been a cherished companion of mine, offering solace and companionship when I needed it. When it passed away, I experienced profound grief. Eventually, it succumbed to illness, much like how I felt I would eventually succumb to my own ailments. I had been overwhelmed by the loss and the anguish of my own condition. Seeing it once again seemed inconceivable to me. It dashed towards me and embraced me, nestling against me in the same way it had shown affection to me during our time when it was alive. A profound sense of joy enveloped me, and I longed to surrender myself and my beloved pet to the lush grass before me, immersing myself in the beautiful scenery I believed to be paradise on the other side. However, without any spoken words or obstructing actions, I understood both the God and my cherished pet were conveying to me. "It is not your time yet," is the message I understood. While I was pondering this message, suddenly numerous moments surrounded me, images that felt all too familiar. After a brief, bewildering moment, I realized they were glimpses into my own life, including moments of suffering and despair and loss, as well as the loss of faith in my life. It was accompanied by a moment when my wife was depressed and anxious and helpless before my hopeless attitude to my illness. These things seemed to me that I had never seen when I was on earth, because she always seemed happy and took care of me, even though she was busy working as a house sitter at a friend's house, and took care of me even sometimes when I didn't want to take medicine or want to go to the hospital for regular checkups, but she was there, always full of energy and happiness. This was the first time I saw her sadness, helpless with my discouragement in the face of my illness. In that moment, the teachings of God echoed within me. Thoughts and intentions are not fleeting concepts, but powerful forces that shape the very structure of our reality. The energy we emit through the thoughts carries weight, influencing not only our experiences, but also the lives of those around us and the collective consciousness of humanity. What an incredible message this was for me. I comprehended the profound truth of those words. The images showcased my struggles and the disease that had consumed me, but they also revealed the transformative power of my thoughts and intentions. They reflected the impact of my negative energy of my own life and the lives of others, particularly my wife. It became clear to me that the key to healing and reclaiming my life lay in harnessing the power of my intentions and cultivating a positive mindset. When our intentions are rooted in love, compassion, and kindness, they ripple through the cosmic web, creating a resonance that can uplift and transform humanity. The voice of the divine echoed within me once again. "It is not your time." I so wanted to immerse myself in cherishing this heavenly sight, but reluctantly I averted my gaze from that, and suddenly the scene became clearer and more focused. I started to notice bustling figures around someone that was before me. Then I heard someone shout loudly, 200, ready, activate. I inferred that it was the cardiac resuscitation machine. Surprisingly, the world around me gradually sharpened into focus, and my senses began to fully engage. I felt a surge of warmth and vitality coursing through my veins. This was the moment I returned to life, and I whimsically thought that I had just awakened from the best sleep ever. As I regained consciousness, I found myself surrounded by a team of dedicated medical professionals, and my wife with a worried face and puffy eyes from crying so much. In that awakened moment, I realized the profound value of life itself. Every second became a priceless opportunity to experience joy and love and growth. I was filled with profound gratitude for the chance to continue my journey, to fulfill my purpose on this earth, and to influence others for good. In the days that followed, I embarked on a journey of self-care, resilience, and unwavering determination in the face of my illness. I understood the importance of taking my prescription medication regularly and adhering to the treatment plan laid out by my doctor. With each passing day, my wife stood by my side, a beacon of unwavering support and encouragement and comfort. Her love and belief in me became a wellspring of strength for me, reminding me that I was not alone in this battle. My positive attitude made her happier day by day. I immersed myself in activities that brought me joy and peace, whether it was spending time in nature or engaging in creative pursuits or simply practicing mindfulness and meditation. Gradually, the disease showed signs of stabilization, defying the expectations of my doctors and my wife. They too were amazed by my progress, having witnessed firsthand the downward spiral I had experienced in previous years. I could sense the disbelief in their eyes, and they carefully examined the medical reports, comparing them to previous records, trying to comprehend the inexplicable turnaround. But I knew that the disease would not be completely cured. It was simply in remission. And the doctor's words of astonishment and encouragement served as validation for the path that I had chosen, reinforcing my belief that the human will, coupled with faith and a positive mindset, can defy even the most terrible and terrifying situations or health concerns. As I shared the profound realizations that unfolded within me after my near-death experience with my wife, I spoke passionately about the intricate tapestry of interconnectedness that weaves throughout the fabric of the universe. The energy we emit through our thoughts carries a profound weight, resonating far beyond the boundaries of our individual experiences. I understood that every action, every thought, is like a ripple in a vast cosmic ocean, resonating and reverberating throughout the very essence of our own existence and interconnectedness of others. I emphasized that this interconnectedness extends far beyond our own individual lives, reaches out to touch the lives of others in ways that we can never fully comprehend. I explained to my wife that our intentions and our thoughts are not fleeting and inconsequential, but rather potent forces that shape the very essence of our reality. Our intentions possess a weight and significance that extends beyond our own experiences, influencing the lives of those around us, and contributes to the collective consciousness of humanity itself. Our inner world projects its essence onto the canvas of the external world, influencing the course of events and the experiences of both ourselves and others. With each word, I could see a glimmer of understanding and curiosity in my wife's eyes grow as I shared this experience. She too was captivated by the profound implications of our interconnectedness. We shared a deep appreciation for the interplay between cause and effect, understanding that even the tiniest actions or thoughts have the potential to create a profound impact in the world around us. We both realized that we held the key to a profound transformation, not only within ourselves, but in the world at large. We understood that by harnessing the power of our thoughts and intentions, we could contribute to a wave of positive change that would quite literally ripple throughout the interconnected web of existence. Inspired by this newfound understanding, my wife and I have embarked on a shared mission to create this ripple effect of kindness and empathy in our immediate surroundings, knowing that it will reverberate throughout the world. We understand that our individual actions, no matter how small, have a power to shape a brighter future for everyone around us.